Is everybody, where's William?
Let's go, coffee boy.
For a cup for water.
See who William wants to drink.
Just to bring a tumbler like all of us.
He's got 30 seconds.
See if you felt it necessary to get me in line.
I just assumed that it was Well, William, yeah,
No. Which William is there?
dragging you by the neck collar. Which William we getting tonight? Happy William.
He's eating. I ate before I came.
Okay, yay, good.
Yay.
Okay, welcome to the Gunter City Council special meeting. It is Tuesday, April 29th. It is 6 o'clock p.m. We're in the Public Safety Building at 105 North 4th Street. All notices have been properly posted. We do have a quorum with everybody in attendance, and we are going to start with our invocation and our pledge of allegiance. All right. Chief, would you like to lead us?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bow our heads. Dear Lord, in heaven, Lord, we come to you and thank you for the many blessings you bestow on us daily, Lord. We ask you to be with our city government, our leaders, mayor, city council, city staff, our great citizens that live here, Lord. We need you. Most of all, we need your healing hands around us, Lord. We ask you to watch over us, keep us safe, guide us, protect us. Forgive us when we fail you. These things we ask in your heavenly name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right. Okay, agenda item number 1, discuss, consider, and act upon development agreement for the proposed master plan community, including single-family villas, multifamily, multi-use by Platinum Ranch LLC and MM Platinum West LLC and MM Platinum, that's double. 1,998 acres of land within the city limits of Gunter. Do I have a motion to discuss? I move that we discuss. Okay, Cindy with a first.
Second.
And Alan with a second, and we're going to allow you to present to us first, Eric.
Okay, I'll give some high-level information and go over some of the key deal points in the developer agreement. First off, I want everybody to recognize and understand that both of these have current developer agreements in place. So, Crooked Cross, or known as Crooked Cross and Platinum Ranch. Now, Platinum Ranch, well, they're shown up here. This is the overall that has Crooked Cross, Platinum Ranch, and the Taylor Ranch to the north. Two. All these have developer agreements, entitlements in place right now, but the developer wanted to be able to combine these two together, Crooked Cross and Platinum Ranch. So we had a lot of discussion on it, but this is the ownership map of what's known as Platinum Ranch Developer Agreement and the PD that's shown on the zoning map right now. The main area that we're talking about tonight on an amended developer agreement or new developer agreement is the blue and a little bit of that gray in the lower left-hand corner where it shows McAdams. That's all under consideration right now out of that existing zoning district and developer agreement. This is the overall combined site plan of the two developments. The reason it makes sense to combine them is there's an immense amount of infrastructure, both sewer, water, treatment plants, lift stations, road network, those types of things. So as we started going through the process with Centurion American, talking to him about it, we knew that there was some, wanted to start looking at potential different land uses and mixes. Right now, the Platinum Ranch pretty much allows multifamily or 50-foot wide lots everywhere. There was no real density caps, maximum number of those size of lots anywhere. So as we started talking to him about this, we are now going to be doing a mix of lots and other product type beyond just 50-foot lots. In fact, we've got several that are on what we consider premium that you can see up there kind of in that light pink along some of the corridors. Those are actually 70-foot wide lots. I'll get that in a minute. So that's the next one we'll be talking about. But so some of the deal points right now is Platinum Ranch was planned to be an in-city MUD the mud will now go away. They're already annexed into the city, so we don't have to do that, but we will go through a zoning change to amend the current PD on these two tracts of land in order to conform to the new developer agreement. They are requesting to do a PID for the single family areas only, and then a 30% TERS on the entire property, and we can discuss that more. Their experts are here to discuss that if we need to. But the lot sizes and counts, we have approximately 4,200 total single family detached lots. 50-foot wide lots, 60-foot wide lots, and about 530 70-foot wide lots. And then we talked about some new trends in residential as opposed to just doing garden apartment or garage wrap type multifamily apartments or urban development type stuff. But I don't know if you've noticed around, there's lots of these infill almost where they're like high density residential villa type stuff where there are 3 and 4-plex, 1-story clusters, and they have an amenity center and they're typically gated. So they function as a rental property, but some of them, can be for ownership as well, but most of them are rental properties. But it gets kind of a mix and a more middle housing product in a larger development like this, and they go very well next to commercial or at the entry of single family where there's not enough room for commercial and you don't really want commercial back up to the residential. They would put that. And there is other, in the pink areas, the larger blobs unlaid out areas are known as the mixed use areas. There's approximately 260 acres of that. That will consist of commercial and then more typical multifamily urban style apartment type things at a maximum of 24 units per acre. The current developer agreement didn't establish necessarily a maximum dwelling units per acre. There's open space. There's approximately 550 acres, inclusive of floodplain, detention and drainage, and then there's an SCS, lakes and amenities, or soil control at sea. Amenities, open space, parks. There's a community park. The original development plans had active park recreation, like ball diamonds and active parks like that, which are more expensive to operate. So we talked to them about changing those out in this area because they will be turned over to the city and we don't have the operational capacity to really deal with those. So it's going to be more open space, more passive recreation, like playgrounds, shade structures, walking trails, and then a natural seating amphitheater type use. So more passive, open, but then some active areas will be done in the 3 amenity centers that they are identifying, which I know it's hard to see on this, but they're spread out, distributed within the community. That will have pools, restrooms, and shade structures that will be HOA owned. All the other parks will eventually, the trail system will have concrete trails through the riparian corridors in the greenbelt areas in the floodplain with concrete sidewalks or concrete trails, and then in some areas could switch to decomposed granite or some more natural, depending on the circumstances of once we get into the design, what it calls for better there. We also wanted to look more. We know we've had issues with developments coming in and not really evaluating the thoroughfare system in the streets. They just basically show it on there and they go, okay, well, we'll do a TIA, there would be a TIA later. And then the TIAs seem to always kind of go on the shelf and never get looked at. So we start taking a lot deeper look at that. As you're all aware, on the south boundary, there's a road, which is, calling it a road is kind of an overstatement. But there's also lots of developments big development going on over in Salina. So we started discussions with Salina, with the Public Works, she's assistant city manager now, but Public Works people over there on where they're at. They have half of it designed already to get over the railroad tracks. And they wanted to know where the city of Gunter was on it. And we told them we were going through an amended developer agreement with the developer right now. And we'd work, and we actually set up a meeting and went back over to meet with the staff at the city of Salina with the developer, with Sean, and met with them to discuss how we could do that from a timing standpoint to help get Merit League done sooner rather than later, because the original DA said you would develop certain roads when that phase of the development went in. Well, if your phase 1 is up more north and it doesn't touch it, but you still have people flowing down that way, how does that help the traffic when you're going from good to bad to worse and stuff? So a lot of this developer agreement will tie down the timing and the phasing of different roads and to what extent they'll have to do. Not only, I apologize, I probably should have showed it better. Okay. So this kind of shows more of the thoroughfare system, and this will be an exhibit that's attached to the DA that also delineates the phasing of when certain roads have to happen and be improved during phase 1, phase 2, and so on, in order to make sure even off-site and far away from the actual phases going vertical with homes is being constructed. And they've agreed to do all of that. So that was a win-win for both of us, I believe, for the city and for our surrounding neighbors and this type of thing. So that's what that'll tie in. Back up.
Phase 1, 4-lane, is that gonna go all the way to the tollway?
It will eventually, yes. So, yeah, so it'll
But
tie in.
Maryland's gonna stay 2-lane?
It'll stay, well, we're hoping we'll get it all built at once. There are some challenges right now because there is is it Encore?
It's
Yeah.
TMP, Mexico Valley.
So they're cutting through and kind of making it kind of difficult on making the thoroughfare work right. So we're looking at some cross sections and what they need for their towers to go through on their right of way and stuff. So because we hate to mess up the visual quality or that, just the aesthetics of everything along that corridor. But my feeling is I've seen it before where you put them in the center median is the best place for them to end up going so that you're not right on the backside of houses along the thoroughfare too. But
Are you talking about that the big
transmission lines, power lines
transmission
going
line?
there.
Where is that?
On the lower left-hand
This side,
corner.
down
On the
west
lower left
side.
side, and the west side of it, going towards the toll road.
Yeah.
I think that's across there. That's not part of this developer agreement, it's just one of those things that when we're looking at the thoroughfare system in more detail, and all these thoroughfares are reflective of what's shown on our thoroughfare master plan, as far as ultimate right-of-way widths and street types, which the previous DA didn't really consider that, so.
What would be slick if we get Slava helps put in a 4-lane on there?
Well, and at least help with most of the design.
Yeah.
They are gonna participate in most of it. Now, there are some potential for some gaps. We're trying to figure out a way to, keep that from happening and then assess the property owners they develop, or if it gets purchased before this gets going.
Has Crooked Cross been renamed?
Crooked Cross is now gonna be Platinum Ranch. It's all gonna be called
All
Platinum
gonna be
Ranch.
Platinum Ridge, okay.
No more Crooked Cross.
I'll call it Elm Creek if that makes you feel better, because that's what it originally was. Everything we have has like 3 or 4 names. I'll go over them if you want to, but it confuses
Won't
me.
after tonight though.
Not after tonight, it's gonna be Platinum.
Did you
So-
ask if it could be named Ericville?
No, because while I'm confident and arrogant, I'm not quite there yet.
Okay.
I have a couple streets coming that are named
Okay,
after me though.
Big statue as you come in together.
Yeah, big dog.
Plainer Boy Drive.
So,
Actual
Plainville
size.
Boulevard.
Plainer
I
Boy
don't go for the little
Boulevard.
collector streets, I go for the major arterials.
Iggy Boulevard?
So,
Intersect with.
also, as you're aware, there are school sites that are delineated on here, they're shown. But more importantly, as we had more discussions, I brought in Captain Kramer and Chief Jones to have discussions because it's important for me to understand what their needs are and where the location on the concept plan is best. There's no sense in just showing a site if it doesn't make sense from their operational standpoint. So I called them in, we had a meeting with the developers, went back and forth on some stuff on where one would be located. Here was originally larger than what was needed, but because both departments work out so well, we've come to the consensus that we'll have one spot, I'll show you in a second, that will be a mutual emergency services facility. And then in this portion, further south, will be a little bit smaller, will be more like a substation or satellite, but if you have more questions about that, Chief and Captain can describe some of that stuff to you. But that was part of our update on our negotiations and our dealings with updating the DAs, is we make sure that they got what they needed out of this process as well.
Will the school sites be deeded to the city?
I'll let you ask that question. At this point in time, all I'm doing is land use.
Okay.
You can ask the question of the developer of that in a second if you like. So we went through all of that. There are some other, so on this one, in this particular area, there's going to be they're going to shoot for 3 acres, potentially get 5. They have to do some rework on some things to see if we can get 5 acres down there. And then on the next, the reason you're seeing item number 2 on the agenda is in order to get tied down through this process, we had to do an amendment to that DA because it's a completely different tract of land, a different DA in order to get the 5 acres or the 10 acres or so up north where it made more sense for that larger facility to go. So you'll see that item in a second. So generally overall, that's the deal. We've been working on it for probably 3 or 4 months, I think, going back and forth. They have been working closely with Mustang SUD, and I believe they've got a lot of those things worked out with the SUD. But again, the PID stays on the single family only. And then the TERS is at 30%, which, we believe is a pretty good workable number. And based on the scope and size of this, and once that infrastructure goes in, how much it'll open up the rest of the properties around there and help, it makes sense for the city to participate in those types of things with them. With that, again, the applicant's here, they can answer more questions, or I can answer any of your questions too.
Do not have anybody sign up for, okay. So, then let's go ahead and, for you guys, if you have questions, Sean, Graham, Roy, whoever wants to come up, if you guys have questions for them.
I'm good from the last meeting that we had, that we went over it. I just had one for Captain Kramer.
Okay.
Is this a better layout from an access egress standpoint for those schools than what we've had in the past?
What I would tell you is I'm definitely not a traffic engineer, and those are subject matter experts on that, but what I'll tell you from a public safety perspective,
That's what
the access coordination that is there is gonna allow us to have maximum throughout the entire development phases of the project too. So if you look at the infrastructure that's there and the way that's gonna go, I think we're set up well to get to the areas we need to without a lot of loop arounds or dead ends or, things that cause us to have a slower response time.
Okay.
And I would say we did also discuss it. We shifted a couple on master plan, some of the school sites that we saw that were tucked up in there. It was nice to have them more in the neighborhood, but we could see the choke points just from experience.
Yeah.
And so they worked with us to move those to where they're still serving the neighborhoods, but from a transportation standpoint, vehicle standpoint, they were
Get
good.
there faster.
Y'all
Public
be able to
safety.
get this done in a couple months then?
Sure, not a problem at all.
The city staff will quit slowing
Eric,
down.
yeah, if Eric would keep
Yeah.
Right.
Now, so the one thing I would tell you that is very pertinent to that though is the relationship with the school district.
Yeah.
Because if all of those schools empty at the same time, it kills the whole concept, right?
Yeah.
You have to have a balanced flow that's coordinated with them where they alter the exit time of each of the schools to make
Is
that
there a
work.
light today on Maryland? There's not, right? But there's gonna have to be.
There's a Merrily today, no light.
There's
No light, but there
Enough speed bumps.
There are speed
Dips.
bumps.
They call them speed dips.
Inverted bumps.
But I think the roadway plans and then the
that's right.
warrant studies will show that that's needed.
Okay.
We haven't done a TIA again on these. We're looking at the scope of what that needs to be to warrant that with
Yeah.
TxDOT or with the county or Salina, actually, because most of Merritt Lee is Salina's now.
Yeah.
Because we.
Almost or half.
Oh.
I thought the line went down.
It does to some extent, but that depends on if the pavement's actually in the half like it's supposed to be too.
So is Merrily planned to be improved as part of this project?
As part of phase
Yes.
1, phase 2, a portion of it. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Well, Sean, y'all are doing the project,
Both sides.
you're doing both sides, right?
no, we're not. We're a little farther down. We have Legacy Hills, what's they're talking, he's referring to as Lennar, and that's the Razor track. That's
Okay.
not us, but
Okay.
we're a little bit farther down
Okay.
and stuff.
Is Salina coordinating the other parts or?
Salina is on their part up to the railroad track crossings, and then they want to coordinate with us on the part. You can see from 289 to the Platinum track, there's a gap there that
Yep.
neither party owns. So we're, gonna figure out how to construct that, and hopefully Salina will do it. But
Maybe in exchange for our ETJ that we have.
Yeah.
would have been a good trade-off, I suppose.
Now
It
that-
would have been a good trade-off, but we had gotten something for it when it was
Right.
given away.
I'm all about trades if there's something in it for us, but if there isn't,
Yeah.
you tell like
Compare the coffers and see which one's
So-
bigger.
So I'm kind of new at this, like,
Okay.
when you have school sites there, are they conveyed to the city and then we
So,
work with the school district?
Here's what the problem is today. Is there's a previous agreement before we ever bought it way back, when they created the MUD. It shows on title, I found out, that it shows school sites have to be given to the school. Hasn't happened yet. So we know for one thing, we could control the locations because they have to come back to you guys to change the locations. Again, how it happened out of the bridges, they bought that from Godwin, it wasn't us. We had a site for them, it
Yeah.
didn't work for them, so they went and bought that. We're going to look and see if that agreement, how strong that agreement is, if we can get out of it.
Okay.
We're gonna try. I can't make any promises. I can tell you the one thing is, it can't move from those locations unless you guys change it once we get it done. And I can ask your attorney, that's a fair statement, correct? I mean, they
Correct.
can't just go out there and do that.
But with the mud being gone
Yeah,
and dissolved, it shouldn't be.
and we're gonna talk to our attorneys. We didn't get involved on that side of it because we really never have really given cities the school site for the school, but not saying it can't be done. But just from a location standpoint, it can't change unless they come back to you guys. But we're gonna look at that and see, is that agreement still valid? Even though it shows up on title, can we get out of that? What we can do with that, so.
Okay, thank you.
We both asked that, me and William both have asked that question, so we're working on it.
Yeah, next week, we can't not have that coordinated, and
Right.
the school's already shown that they'll just go do whatever
Right.
without,
Yeah.
Well, and the good news there is vacant land around it, but there's no infrastructure available to them to be able to pull the baits or the switch
Yeah.
like they did at the bridge. It's fortunately on this here. Not that they won't try it, but
well,
it's not as easy in this area as it was down there. With the infrastructure already right there for them to hook into.
Another thing too, I think this is really, really important, is as we've gone over everything it took with infrastructure.
Correct.
With Mustang and all those meetings and knowing that when this is done and the infrastructure is in place, particularly the Elm Creek Crooked Cross piece, that helps everything around it so that we don't have to continue to have issues with developers coming and saying, hey, we need more PID, more TERS, because it's so expensive for the infrastructure.
Yes,
So that's gonna solve this problem.
and it's gonna open it up from basically your Taylor track all the way
Right, all the
to
way.
the tow road and to
Exactly.
Fairley Road.
It's gonna make a huge difference infrastructure wise, so
How many people will this bring to the city of Gunter?
We've got 4,200
Yeah.
single family lots times 2.5. I don't think that.
10,000 people, 11,000 people?
10,000.
So plenty to get to a charter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's 5,000, right?
Yeah.
So we might get 5,000 just off the bridges, phase 2 and 3 that are coming.
Yeah, when they get close on this, the bridges.
we're over halfway there already without any extra, and we've got Gunter 66 coming in.
Which Gunter 66 is now called the Preserve.
Just reserve.
Is that the reserve? Okay.
Another name
So-
change?
Yeah.
What's
I
the
mean, we're
phase
close.
timeline?
What is that, Graham? You want to speak to the phasing? You know that a little bit better than I do. I think it's like 200 something lots, correct? You go ahead, I'll let you answer that one.
And you can flip through if you want, see if there's a better exhibit for you.
I'll just talk about this one. Yeah, right now we've contemplated building out through 6 phases, and the way we operate is as soon as the first phase is done, we're starting to work on construction plans and get moving on the second phase. We don't really like to buy land and just sit around. We like to get going. So we'll be looking to get started turning dirt on our first phase as quickly as we can get a round of the grading plans reviewed and approved, and then get to the races on that. And from there, just continuing to go and go and go.
So even if not all the houses in phase 1 are sold, you'll start phase 2.
We'll have contracts in place for the development already.
The lot takedown.
So the lot takedown,
Yeah.
that's correct.
The builders and all.
Because like with the bridges, they're now starting phase 2, and the bridges have been there since what, 2016?
2006 or.
Yeah, and I think some of that,
2006.
Yeah, long time before it was built.
yeah,
Yeah.
some of that we had the sewer issue, we had to,
Yeah.
we had to upgrade, and just the market. I mean, Gunter is now in the bullseye.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it's market driven, but it just took a while to get, when we first bought it out of bankruptcy, there was maybe 8 houses out there,
Yeah.
maybe.
That's
And
what
now
I'm
we
just
have the
wondering,
sewer
like, okay,
capacity.
if you still have some houses that are not occupied or sold, and then you start now phase 2, different developers, different builders, different style.
You'll end up seeing some, even some lots that aren't built on when we start phase 2.
Okay.
Because that's one thing dealing with the bigger builders, they have to meet their quotas. And so they have a takedown schedule with us, and if it's faster, then we move second phase faster, if it's a little slower. But they'll still be, phase 2 will start before phase 1 is 100% complete with people living there.
And remind me again, because it's been a while, do you know who the developers or the builders are
You
going
got
to
the
be?
builders,
Builders
you know
will do.
the builders list?
Yeah, we're working with Horton, Beazer, First Texas, Coventry, a lot of the names.
Some different names that we haven't had here before.
You're still planning on the west side too, right? Starting on the west side? Up over here? On this side, not over here.
So let me get here.
You might have a point up here.
I'm trying to get to your
Yeah. Because I think last we talked, it was more of the west.
It's where the two blue lines
Corner.
intersect up there.
Yeah, the phase
Yeah.
one, if I can, generally would be this area right
Right there.
here. So yes, it'll be, to the question that was asked earlier, the 4-lane divided from the toll road through here in this phase one area, as well as right here. So ample access for this phase one area. This seemed appropriate as phase one because we can get right here to the toll road, have a big, nice grand entry. I think a statue of Eric is something we've all considered.
It's being commissioned right now, we're interviewing
Oh,
artists.
That's
Get
kind
together, did the same Houston one.
Yeah, maybe half scale of that, that's a little bit in your face, I don't even quite like that.
Don't even give this the,
I think it needs to be old fashioned, hold a sword and have it go between the legs. That's the entrance.
Yeah.
What's going? Oh, Tim,
I think there is some thought that one thing we like to do is a wow factor monument when you do come into your city.
Yeah.
And we have
We
room
talked
to do
about
that,
that.
unlike on the bridges where it gets kind of squeezed down, we're dealing with that on 2B right now, where we're up against the 1.1 right-of-way expansion that, I don't think they're gonna get permission from Texas to put it out there, but.
we got a water tower.
Yeah. You got another tower?
You guys are welcome to incorporate.
That would be another question. Do you guys foresee that you have to put a water tower out there in that
Yes.
neighborhood?
Oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So if you wanna go, well,
So now just to
back
make
up
sure
there, so you
that
can
you
see
know
the blue spots, show
that
the
the ordinance that we put in place, they wouldn't be able to put cell phone towers on that. Right?
Is that the right one?
Yeah, we wouldn't.
Well,
we
they'd have to
wouldn't do
go
that
through the
anyway.
specific use permit if they want to co-locate on water
Yeah.
tower, but it's Mustangs, so
Yeah.
if they want to co-locate, they'll also lease them, and then they gotta.
We're gonna do it.
If it's for their
We're gonna
purpose
do
for
a
water.
charters to put the infrastructure in. How is that gonna work with Mustang? It's gonna be our pipes when it's all done.
Franchise.
It's gonna be the city's pipes.
The infrastructure will be deeded over to them. It won't be
The
ours.
same way.
Because we don't have
Do
CCN.
we get nothing again like we did last time?
Yeah, our
Franchise fees is.
our water has been sold.
You get franchise
It's
fees
gone.
and meter fees.
It's gone.
Portion of it.
But
We get
franchise
our
fees,
meter
we do
fees
get
from-
meter and
Yeah, we still
franchise
get our
fees.
meter fees.
Are we getting those now?
We are.
We are.
But we still
Those
don't
are
have-
slower than
But we still don't have
franchise fees.
any control over what they do and no notifications.
It's getting better, right?
I
It is
think so.
getting
I mean,
better.
Y'all be to tell that, we met with Chris that day, made a commitment to do
Chris
that.
came in and.
Chris came
met with
in
us
here.
last
That
week.
one happened.
And I'm gonna tell you, they had a special
Right,
meeting
right.
last
No,
night
he's
for,
trying.
or had a meeting last night for us to approve all this infrastructure, because
Right.
this is something new to them. You're talking what, Roy's our expert, 80 million bucks infrastructure that we're having to put in? Roughly like that.
Yeah.
It's a big number. And they're participating some, we're participating some. I think they want a good relationship. They need a good relationship with you guys. And I think that day y'all met and him coming here,
They do.
The reality of it is, if we still own our water, we couldn't do this.
Right.
We couldn't get this done. We couldn't.
Not until we build up our impact fee coffers. Take a while.
They've got a lot
Well,
more.
if this,
economy
well, we're
of
now
scale.
going off topic, so
Yeah.
I was about to say something, but that would be too far off topic, so let's go back to.
Raising the flag.
this.
So you can see on there, there's like blue spot, oh, I hope you can see the blue spots, that's the Mustang infrastructure,
Yeah.
either water facilities or sewer facilities.
there'll be, starting out, there'll be at least 2 wells and an elevated storage tank.
And where's the HEB?
HEB in the lower right-hand corner, once we get.
Could come in
It's
right down
over there
here.
in the mixed use.
Denison.
Yeah.
Salina for now.
Does anybody else have any questions? Well, I move that we, accept the development agreement for the Platinum Ranch community.
I have Cindy with the first to accept. I heard Dave with a second, and it's unique that I got William at the
No,
same time. Almost
that's what I was
say-
giving.
I tell you what, give
Okay,
it,
I'm
give
gonna
it
say
to William.
William got a second.
That way it's on the
That's
record.
rare.
Hey, give it to him.
It's
or
on
get
the
a bad
record.
mood.
That's right. Cindy with the first, William with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And I want to thank y'all for having a special meeting for us. It really was, I know it's hard to get out here again, and we really appreciate y'all coming together for us on a Thursday, what is it, Tuesday night.
Tuesday.
Thank y'all for doing it
That's right.
and getting it done in April, like, thank you.
All right.
Next.
Okay, number 2, discuss, consider act upon development agreement amendment with M. Taylor Ranch, approximately 497 acres in the ETJ down this Palmer Lakes. It's actually gonna be the Taylor Ranch, back to Taylor Ranch.
Yeah, so, whoa. Nice.
Yeah, once we got it,
Well, I enjoyed
get
that.
them Aggie up there.
Yeah.
You start running computer son, you can look at everyone. So the only reason this one is coming is, like I mentioned a little while ago, is because we're working with them to get the 9.7 approximately acres up there for the mutual emergency services thing. I'd love Captain Kramer, Chief Jones to come up and talk if you wanted to a little bit, but you guys want to say something, you support what they're asking. So, I mean, it was a joint effort. I really appreciate them coming in on the discussions with me and the mayor, on the developer, to get their input on what they need, because
Right, because this didn't exist
it didn't
in the
exist
last
before to
agreement.
this scale.
And now we're up to almost 10 acres for public services, police, fire together, which we're gonna have as a goal, right, to keep our police and fire together.
Yes,
So-
yes, Mayor. I just wanted, I will keep it real brief. I'm extremely pleased with the negotiations we were able to come to today, the agreements on the 9.7 acre tract up here, because this, I'm not sure everybody realizes how huge this is for the city of Gunter. This is our headquarters. This would be a building that will facilitate both police and the fire departments as we continue to work together in a group effort. This will be our main facility. I mean, this is going to be where the headquarters out of, and it's going to be a group and joint building, public safety building. Up until now, we hadn't had that. There had been no strategic plan, no strategic outlook on securing property for this, and this is huge. We're up at 8 officers right now for the city of Gunter, and we're about to bust at the seams. And so to be out in front of this growth now and secure the property, we can secure bonds and stuff later for the building itself, but to secure the property is huge. So I want to say thank you to the city council. More than that, I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Terry, Mr. Murdad, Graham, and his team. Extremely grateful that they were able to work with us and help us out. I mean, they didn't have to do this. So.
Oh, did they?
And also Mr. Wilhite played a huge role in bringing me and Captain Kramer and involving us in this process, because it hadn't been done in the future or in the past. So moving forward, it's been a great working relationship with Mr. Wilhite. Thank you.
Yeah, we brought you guys, Mr. Wilhite.
Will.
We brought you guys in
Yeah.
probably at least 3-4 good quality meetings where we discussed all of this and got your input.
Yeah, and I think this is a great opportunity to lay the framework for what public safety needs to look like moving forward. Right, y'all have asked for that as part of the vision of how we're going to get from A to B, and this is the beginning of that. And that's why we pressed so hard for another site further south, also with that 3 to 5 acres down there. And then this almost 10 acre spot up here allows to have a good coverage area, which will be very critical for us moving forward when it relates to the response area further south, towards the middle of town, obviously further north, that type of stuff. I would say also, echo what Chief Jones had mentioned, is the partnerships that you're talking about right here also lays a concept that we can really show to other developers that are coming in and say, hey, we've been able to make this work. This provides good for you, good for us. It helps us from a financial perspective and allows us to grow with us involved in that process from a public safety perspective. And we've been able to lay that framework now for the beginning of Gunter, and then moving forward, I think this sets a good bar for future developers too, of kind of how to get from point A to point Z, really, as the city continues to grow. So.
I agree, thank you.
Any public comments?
I didn't have anybody sign up.
You signed up for public comment.
So if you make the motion on this one, if you would just be sure to include it, 3 acres, possibly 5, so we have it on record that they're looking
They
at that.
committed to
No,
3, looking
this
for
one.
5.
3.
This is
Oh,
on
no,
Taylor.
this was the
This is-
9.
Oh,
This
this
is
is
the
Taylor.
9. This is
Yeah.
Taylor.
So we'll
yeah,
take 3-5.
We were saying 5. I need a motion to say 9.7.
Yes, 9.7.
Okay.
Okay, 9.7.
I move that we approve the development agreement amendment with the Emily Taylor Ranch, 469, including 9.7 acres to be dedicated to the police and fire, to the city for police and fire.
Have a first with Cindy to approve.
I'll second.
We got Alan with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is unanimous. All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
This will be called Taylor Ranch, no more politics. Taylor Ranch.
Taylor
That's where I
Ranch
went over there.
and Platinum Ranch. So
That's
you
gonna be
can
nice.
remember now.
Can't wait till we have to sign, order that sign, Will Highway.
No, Will Highway.
Okay, so agenda item number 3, council business executive session. We will be meeting for consultation with our attorney under 551.071 for, on BNSF litigation at 6:35.
I gotta sit down.
All right, we are reconvening to open session at 7:14. We have no action to take tonight, so we are adjourning at 7:14.